You're fasting. Everything is going fine. Maybe you're a few hours in feeling good, feeling focused, and then it hits. That dull, heavy pressure behind your eyes. Not a sharp pain, not a throbbing at your temples. Just this deep, uncomfortable ache sitting right there behind your eyeballs, like something is pressing from the inside. Sound familiar? If you've ever experienced this, you're not alone. Studies show that more than 60% of people who practice intermittent fasting experience headaches at some point. That's more than half. And if you ask anyone who's tried extended fasting, almost everyone has a headache story to tell. But here's what most people don't realize. The location of your headache is not random. That pain behind your eyes is actually your body trying to tell you something important. It's not just discomfort, it's communication. In this video, we're going to explore exactly what's happening inside your body when you get this specific type of headache during fasting. We'll look at the science, the biology, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. Not to scare you away from fasting, but to help you understand it. Because when you understand what's going on, you'll know exactly how to prevent it and how to respond when it happens. Before we dive in, a quick note. This is educational content, not medical advice. If you have any health conditions, please talk to your doctor before trying any fasting protocol. Every body is different, and what works for one person may not work for another. Now let's start with the most obvious question. Why does it hurt right there behind your eyes? Why not somewhere else? The area behind your eyes is one of the most sensitive regions in your head. There's a dense network of small blood vessels and nerve endings concentrated in this spot. These nerves connect to a larger nerve system that runs through your face and skull, and they're extremely good at detecting changes. When there's any change in blood flow or pressure inside your skull, this area often feels it first. The blood vessels here are close to the surface, close to the nerves, and they respond quickly to any shifts in your body's internal environment. Think of it as an early warning system. Your body isn't trying to make your life difficult. It's trying to alert you that something needs attention. The pain you feel is information. And once you understand what that information means, you can actually do something about it. So what exactly triggers this warning system during fasting? There are three main reasons, and understanding each one will help you figure out what your body actually needs. The first reason is something that most people don't know about, and it has to do with losing water and salt. Not just water and salt together. And understanding this changes everything. Here's what happens. When you stop eating, your body doesn't just start burning fat for energy. It also starts flushing out water and salt through your urine much faster than normal. This phenomenon has been documented by doctors since the 1960s when they were monitoring patients who fasted for weight loss. They noticed something strange. Patients were losing weight much faster in the first few days than could be explained by fat burning alone. They were losing water, lots of it. And with that water, they were losing salt. Let me explain how this works. When you eat food, your body produces a hormone called insulin. Insulin does many things, but one of its jobs is helping your kidneys hold onto salt and water. When you stop eating, insulin levels drop. And when insulin drops, your kidneys start releasing salt. Water follows the salt out of your body. This is why you urinate more frequently when you first start fasting. You might have noticed this yourself, especially in the first day or two. You're running to the bathroom more often than usual. And this is also why just drinking plain water sometimes isn't enough. You're losing salt. Your brain needs salt to function properly. Your nerves need salt to send signals correctly. When salt levels drop, the blood vessels in your brain react, pressure changes occur, and you feel that familiar headache behind your eyes. Here's the fascinating part. Doctors have known about this for over 50 years. It even has a medical name. But most people who fast today have never heard of it. They just think they need to drink more water. But water alone won't replace the salt you're losing. In fact, drinking large amounts of plain water can actually dilute the remaining salt in your body even further, which can make the problem worse, not better. The second reason for headaches behind your eyes has to do with caffeine. And this might be the biggest factor for many of you watching right now. If you drink coffee or tea every day, fasting often means cutting back on caffeine, whether you intended to or not. Maybe you skip your morning coffee because you're trying to keep your fast clean. Or maybe you just drink less because you're not eating breakfast. Either way, your caffeine intake goes down. And caffeine does something to your brain that most people don't realize. It causes the blood vessels in your brain to constrict to become narrower. When you drink coffee regularly, your brain gets used to having those blood vessels slightly constricted. That becomes the new normal for your brain. But when you suddenly stop drinking coffee, or even just drink less than usual, those blood vessels relax and widen. Blood rushes into your brain faster and in greater volume than your brain is accustomed to. This change in blood flow creates pressure. And you feel that pressure as a headache, often concentrated in the forehead and behind the eyes, exactly where those sensitive blood vessels are located. This type of headache usually shows up about 12 to 24 hours after your last dose of caffeine. So if you had your last coffee at 8 in the morning yesterday, you might start feeling the headache sometime between 8 p.m. that night and 8 a.m. the next morning. The timing can help you identify whether caffeine is the culprit. Here's what makes it worse. The more coffee you drink on a regular basis, the more intense this headache can be when you stop. Your brain has adapted to the caffeine over time by creating more receptors for it. When the caffeine suddenly disappears, all of those receptors are affected at once. It's like your brain is suddenly overwhelmed. The good news is that this type of headache isn't dangerous. It's uncomfortable sometimes, very uncomfortable, but it's not harmful to your health. And it usually only lasts a few days if you push through it. Your brain will readjust. But there's actually a better approach than just suffering through it, which I'll share with you shortly. The third reason for fasting headaches is that your brain is switching fuel sources, and this transition takes time. Your brain doesn't like change, and this is a big change. Your brain is very particular about its fuel. Normally, it runs almost entirely on sugar, specifically a type of sugar called glucose. Every single day, your brain consumes about 120 grams of glucose. That's more than any other organ in your body. Your brain is hungry and it's picky about what it eats. But when you fast, the sugar in your blood gradually decreases. There's no food coming in, so there's no new sugar being added. Your body starts looking for alternative energy sources. It begins burning stored fat for energy instead of relying on sugar from food. When fat is burned this way, your body produces an alternative fuel that your brain can actually use. This is a backup system that helped our ancestors survive during times when food was scarce. But here's the thing. Your brain needs time to adapt to using this new fuel source efficiently. It's been running on sugar your whole life. Switching over doesn't happen instantly. During this transition period, which usually lasts the first 1 to 3 days of fasting, your brain is caught in an awkward middle ground between two fuel sources. The sugar is running low, but the alternative fuel from fat isn't fully available yet. Your brain is essentially running on fumes while waiting for the backup generator to kick in. This is when you might feel tired mentally, foggy, irritable, and yes, headachy. Your brain is struggling a bit because it doesn't have its preferred fuel, and it hasn't fully adapted to the new one yet. The encouraging news is that this phase is temporary. Once your brain fully adapts to the new fuel source, many people actually report feeling sharper, more focused, and more clear-headed than they did before. There's even research suggesting that this alternative fuel might be more efficient for the brain in some ways. But to experience those benefits, you have to get through this transition period first. Now let's talk about the silent heroes of headache prevention, the minerals that most people forget about. We've covered salt, which is sodium, but there are two other minerals that play an equally important role in keeping headaches away: potassium and magnesium. These three minerals work together as a team to keep your blood vessels functioning properly, to help your heart beat in a steady rhythm, and to help nerve signals travel smoothly through your body. They're involved in almost everything your body does. And when you fast and urinate frequently, you lose all three of them. Magnesium is especially interesting when it comes to headaches. Multiple scientific studies have found that people who experience frequent headaches, especially migraines, often have lower magnesium levels in their blood than people who don't get headaches. And when those people take magnesium supplements, some of them see a noticeable reduction in how often they get headaches and how severe those headaches are. The connection makes sense when you understand what magnesium does. It helps relax blood vessels and muscles. It helps regulate nerve signals. When magnesium is low, blood vessels can become more reactive, nerves can become more excitable, and headaches become more likely. The problem is this: when you're fasting, you're not getting any minerals from food. If you're only drinking plain water, you're replacing the water your body loses, but you're not replacing the minerals. It's like refilling a car's gas tank while ignoring the oil level. Eventually, something is going to give. This is why experienced fasters, people who have been doing this for years, almost always pay attention to their electrolytes. They add salt to their water. They take magnesium supplements. They make sure to eat potassium-rich foods during their eating windows. They do this not because it's trendy or because some influencer told them to. They do it because they've learned from experience that their bodies genuinely need these minerals to feel good while fasting. At this point, I want you to step back and think about fasting headaches in a completely different way. A headache during fasting doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean your willpower isn't strong enough. It doesn't mean your body isn't suited for fasting. And it definitely doesn't mean you should give up. A headache is simply your body's way of communicating with you. It's saying, hey, pay attention, something needs adjustment here. That's all. It's information, not punishment. Maybe you need more water. Maybe you need to add some salt to that water. Maybe you need to reduce your caffeine intake gradually over a week instead of stopping cold turkey. Maybe your body just needs a few more days to adapt to fasting before you extend the duration. When you start to understand these signals, something shifts. You stop fearing the headache. You stop seeing it as an obstacle or a sign of failure. Instead, you recognize it as feedback from a body that's trying to help you succeed. And here's what's really powerful about this perspective. Instead of fighting against your body, you learn to work with it. You become partners rather than opponents. And that makes the entire fasting experience smoother, more sustainable, and ultimately more successful. But there are times when a headache is more than just a normal signal. If you experience a severe headache along with nausea, an unusually fast or irregular heartbeat, serious dizziness, or any confusion, stop fasting immediately and seek medical help. This is not the time to push through. If your headache persists for more than 30 minutes after you've had water and some salt, that's also a sign to stop. Your body is clearly telling you that today is not the day. Listen to it. So let's bring it all together and talk about what you can actually do. We now understand that headaches behind the eyes during fasting can come from three main sources. First, losing water and salt faster than normal because insulin drops when you don't eat. Second, caffeine withdrawal, causing blood vessels in your brain to suddenly expand. And third, your brain going through an adjustment period as it learns to use a different type of fuel. Often it's not just one of these, it's a combination of all three happening at the same time, which is why fasting headaches can feel so intense. To prevent these headaches, here are some practical steps you can take. These are simple changes that can make a big difference. First, drink enough water and add a little salt. This is the most important one. About half a teaspoon of salt spread throughout your day, mixed into your water, can make a significant difference. Some people put a small pinch of salt in each glass of water they drink. Others prefer to have a cup of bone broth or vegetable broth during their fasting window, since broth naturally contains salt and other minerals. Find what works for you and what you can stick with. Second, if you drink coffee every day, don't stop suddenly when you start fasting. This is a mistake a lot of people make. They decide to start fasting on Monday, and they also decide to cut out coffee at the same time. That's two big changes hitting your body at once, and it's a recipe for a terrible headache. Instead, reduce your caffeine intake gradually over a week or two before you start fasting. Cut down from 3 cups to 2, then from 2 to 1, then maybe switch to tea for a few days. Give your brain time to adjust. Or, if you're doing intermittent fasting, where you have an eating window, just have your coffee during that window so you're not going without caffeine entirely. Third, start with shorter fasting periods and gradually increase the duration. Give your body time to adapt to this new way of eating. Jumping straight into a 24-hour fast or longer when you've never even skipped breakfast before is asking for trouble. Start with 12 hours. That might mean finishing dinner at 7 p.m. and not eating until 7 a.m. Most of that time you're sleeping anyway. Once that feels comfortable, extend to 14 hours. Then 16. Let your body learn at its own pace. There's no rush. Fourth, consider adding electrolytes to your water, especially if you're fasting for longer than 16 hours at a time. You can buy electrolyte powders or tablets that dissolve in water. You can also make a simple mixture at home using regular salt for sodium, a salt substitute like no salt or new salt, which contains potassium, and a magnesium supplement. There are many options available, and you don't need to spend a lot of money to get the minerals your body needs. And finally, remember this: a headache is not your enemy. It's not a sign that you should quit. It's your body talking to you. When you learn to listen to what it's saying and respond appropriately, fasting becomes much easier. The headaches become less frequent, and eventually, for most people, they stop happening altogether. The pain behind your eyes is not a sign of failure. It's not a sign that fasting isn't for you. It's simply information. Your body is incredibly intelligent. It has been fine-tuned over millions of years of evolution to keep you alive and functioning. When something is off, it lets you know. Your job is to understand the message and respond appropriately. Now, I'm curious about your experience. Have you ever had a headache while fasting? What did it feel like, and what did you do about it? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else who's going through the same thing right now. If this video helped you understand your body better, consider subscribing so you don't miss future content like this. We explore the science behind fasting nutrition and how your body actually works in a way that's easy to understand and apply. In our next video, we'll talk about what happens when you break your fast incorrectly and why that first meal after fasting matters more than most people think. It's a topic that can make or break your fasting results, and I think you'll find it eye-opening. Until then, take care of yourself, listen to your body, and fast wisely.